All right, so good morning. It is a pleasure to be doing this recording today and to be doing this presentation. My name is Professor Kat MacDonald, and I'm the coordinator of the Monroe College Honors Program. And this is my class that I've been teaching this semester, EN 121, which is Analytical Thinking, Writing, and Research. And we'd like to welcome you to our presentation. This semester, this course is all about writing research papers, and this semester, the students took a whole semester to choose topics and to write research papers. Good morning, Professor McCalla. Thank you for joining us. We just got started. So,
Good morning. I'm excited.
Hello. Thank you for coming. So Professor McCall, for those of you who might not know her, she's one of our amazing directors in our School of Criminal Justice, and a big fan of research. So she's a great supporter to have with us this morning. So today what we're going to do is we're going to tell you a little bit about how we approach the research paper process, and then we will the students will tell you a little bit about their papers. So that is our agenda, right? So we're going to do an introduction. We're going to talk about the steps of the research process. They're going to go through their individual research projects. And then if there's any questions, we're happy to take them at the end. So at this time, we're going to move into the different steps, and I'm going to turn it over to one of my students, Nia.
Can you see me clear, guys?
Yes, good morning.
Good morning, everyone. So first I want to begin with talking about the purpose of this course, Analytical Thinking, Writing, and Research. This course breaks down the research process into a series of steps to give students the writing and research skills necessary for success. The research process is taught step by step, showing students how to choose an appropriate topic, develop a strong thesis statement, formulate research questions, find, select, and evaluate viable scholarly sources, and implement APA style for citations and bibliographies. And next, I'm going to pass it back to Professor MacDonald.
Thank you. So the first thing they have to do is choose a topic. And for some people, choosing a topic is one of the most enjoyable parts of the process, and for some, it's complete torture. But what I did was I had the students connect their topic to a theme. So we used the theme of navigating our world, questioning, listening, and answering. And I asked them to kind of contemplate a way that their topic kind of fit in with that theme. So they were told that their topic should be something that encourages them to read and comprehend material, because I think a big part of this class and any research course is reading of self, right? So you have to be passionate about your topic. So I told them to be passionate about their topics. I told them to ensure that the topic is something manageable and something that they could handle, right? So that deals with scope a lot of times. That's why we put that. So not picking something that's too broad or something that's so narrow that hasn't been adequately researched enough. That there is material available. So again, looking for sources, and we use both kind of general sources from periodicals and newspapers and kind of generic websites, commercial websites, but then we also use the Monroe databases this semester. And then once they had a topic in mind, we contemplated main research question and then sub-questions that would help us, guide the research. So that brings us to the next step number 2, right, in this case, which is to ask those questions. So I'm going to pass it over to Denelli, who will tell you more about that.
Hello, good morning, everyone. My name is Nellie Barker, and I'll be telling you guys about research questions. Okay, so a research question is a question that a research project sets out an answer to. And it is the question that your research is centered around. So there's the main question and the sub-questions. So the main question is a question that primarily is primarily the main focus of a research project, and the sub-questions are like narrow questions. They're like question that makes up a bigger question. And I'll be passing it on to my classmate, Naya.
Good morning. You cannot have a research paper without the research. Proper research should be conducted using credible sources. Credible sources are unbiased and reliable. Such credible sources can come from educational and governmental resources. It is important to use a specified search engine for research and databases. Um, Search sources include Google Scholar, Microsoft Academic, your institute's library resources, and there's plenty more. After you do your research, you should move on to step 4. Isabel will tell you about that.
Okay, so step 4 in creating a research paper is making an annotated bibliography. An annotated bibliography is a list of citations to articles, books, and journals. Each citation includes a summary paragraph, an evaluation paragraph, and a reflection paragraph. In a summary paragraph, you summarize the purpose of the source and gather relevant and important details from the source that you later use in your research paper. Our teacher always told us that in the summary paragraph, it is not 1 or 2 sentences, and she said, what if you never see the text again? What would you want to remember? An evaluation paragraph is where you state your opinion based on the effectiveness and reliability of the source. And some guided questions we used was, is the source biased or objective? What is the goal of the source? In the reflection paragraph, you read about how helpful and important the source was in strengthening your claim. We also read about the purpose it will serve in your research paper. Some guided question we used was the source helpful to you and what was taken away from the source? We believe that an annotated bibliography is important because it allows you to fully evaluate the credibility of a source and helps you understand and be informed about the topic you're researching. And then step 5 to creating a research paper is making an outline. An outline is a breakdown of the main and supporting points that you'll be using in your paper. An outline is useful because it helps you organize your ideas logically, and allows you to see the relationship between the main idea and supporting details. Some basic steps to creating an outline is first separating each main point into your own paragraph, using your notes and information from the source to create supporting details for each main point you would like to create, and then create a format on how you like to present your information. Now I'll pass it back to Ms. MacDonald.
Thank you, Isabel. It's always good to unmute yourself, yeah? So after you collect all of your information, after you sort through, annotate sources, the next thing to do is to start writing the paper. So we did our paper. It took us about 3 weeks to draft the various parts of the paper. And we started with thinking about our introduction because we had to go back and revisit our thesis statement. So, we kind of had tentative thesis statements while we were doing research. But after doing the research, sometimes you find that what you originally thought you could argue may not stand up, may not hold up. So instead of trying to change topics, we recommended, just revising the thesis. So they went back, they revised their thesis statements if necessary, and they wrote their introductions. Then they wrote the body of the paper. So the body is obviously the longest part. They broke their papers into sections and identified the major themes in the secondary research. So instead of just saying, like, this is the body of the paper, if a student's paper was on the impact of coronavirus on the hospitality industry, they might have had a section called, the hospitality industry during the coronavirus pandemic, right? So they paraphrased key details from their sources, cited the sources in text, and then they did something that I call state the so what. Because a research paper is not meant to be a regurgitation of what other people have said. It's meant to present those facts that other people have researched and brought into the field. But then the writers of these papers, my students, their voices, their analysis of that information is really what makes it their research paper. So that's what I call the so what. We did use APA Style 7. And again, that website that I put into the chat, citefast.com, is a great resource because it does do the citations now in APA 7. And don't forget also that our library homepage, I'll put the link in the chat for that in a second, is also a great resource for all things APA and research. So I'm going to pass it back over to Nia, who's going to tell you about the last step of this process, and then we're going to move into our research paper topics.
Okay, so the last step is to revise and edit the paper. In my opinion, revising and editing the paper is a key part of finishing up your essay. In revising and editing, you make changes. You can utilize the spelling and grammar tool to check for errors, omit unnecessary words used in the essay. 2, you proofread. You do this by reading over your essay to make sure it has a flow and make any necessary changes. 3 is don't be afraid to move things around. Adjust sentences and words if necessary. And lastly, you want to get feedback and apply the feedback. You can do this by having a peer or teacher proofread your paper and give the feedback. Next, I'm going to pass it over to Janaya, who will be starting with her research paper.
Okay. Good morning. Hi. My name is Janea, and my topic is about the need for women in politics, and it is titled Almost is Never Enough, The Need for Women in Politics. And I chose this topic because as a woman, I would like to see more females in higher power and hopefully see a female president. And yeah, okay. So thesis is there should be more women in Congress because Congress has Congress has been a patriarchal institution since the start of government, and we should have a government that reflects the United States diverse. My supporting evidence is, although their numbers are steadily increasing, women, in particular women of color, continue to be underrepresented in Congress. Women make up 51% of the U.S. population, but only 24% of congressional leaders. And during this process, I've learned that women are slowly gaining seats in Congress since the past election, and women in the past had to take their deceased husbands' roles in Congress in order to have an opportunity to work in Congress. And I learned that the Republican Party isn't very open to having women in Congress because they just like to stick to how they were. And I'm going to pass it to Alyssa.
Yes, hi, good morning. My topic is called the academic struggles. The reason I chose this is because every time I transfer to a different school, I realize that there's something different in the learning process. So I wanted to explore this. So pretty much every time we go to a new school, especially when have transferred, I've learned that some schools are challenging students more than others. And I learned that it's because of the students. If students are are struggling more, they're gonna slow down for some students. They're gonna add them into different classes to help them more. I also learned that in specific schools, they take tests to help the students for them to know what classes to put them in. They add them in a class in different classes like 501, 502, 503. That 503 is for students that need more help. 501 is for students that don't need as much help, that they can challenge them more. Now I will pass it off to Joseph.
Hi everybody. I'm going to be I'm going to be talking about the importance of technology in hotels and restaurants during COVID. My thesis is COVID-19 impact in the hospitality industry and restaurant, causing many restaurants and small hotels to close. However, those that have remained open have used technology wisely. This is evidence that I choose from from one of my um, one of my texts that I was reading that says whether you like it or not, technology is essential to business success. Employees rely on it for day-to-day operations. Outside companies, clients, and propet- prospective clients evaluate you and your technology. Something that I learned about this is that during the pandemic, business need to make new innovations to keep fighting during the difficult times, and that you should never give up, no matter the situation, and keep moving forward and looking for new ways to make things work for everyone. Now I'm gonna pass it to my classmate Daniel Lee.
All right, hi everyone. So the title of my paper is The Importance of Drug Limitations. Um, so my thesis was drug intake such as antidepressants should be limited because such drugs have long-lasting side effects. The best way to reduce the use of antidepressants is through prevention strategies. And one of my supporting evidence was that there is a complex multi-level ecology that can encourage or discourage use and abuse. And while writing my paper, I've learned that antidepressant drugs can have both positive and negative effects on the human mind, and it can also affect a person's mental capacity, which can lead to drug abuse and suicide. Um, and in my paper, it basically explained prevention strategies in order to prevent suicide and drug overdose. And now I'll be passing it on to my classmate Manuel.
Hi, I'm Manuel, and I will talking about graffiti, a beautiful crime. My thesis statement was that graffiti can sometimes be misunderstood by people, but still being a legitimate form of art to express ourselves and whichever person wants to do graffiti. I to support my thesis, I use like recent evidence, like is sometimes used to express movements like the Black Lives Matters or political problems like the elections with Trump and Biden. They use a lot of graffitis. Graffitis can sometimes use to express some feelings, like can seem like taboos. In my paper, I talk about the bathroom graffitis that we use sometimes in high school. Like my high school has a lot of graffitis in the bathrooms, and graffiti can be used like in neighborhoods when they express the traits of cultures, like they used to express their sports. And I learned throughout the entire paper that graffiti at first was done by people who were related to gangs and crimes, but the reason they used it was to make like boundaries, to make limits in their territory. So it wasn't violence at first. But then people started to do graffitis because of the rush, because it was a crime, so it was fun. But graffiti, it wasn't intended to be like a crime. But the police department and politicals, they thought it was like that, and they started to do campaigns against graffiti, but this only produced like more people to do graffitis because it was fun. Now I will pass it to Professor MacDonald, who will talk about another topics.
So Ifioma, you just joined in. So I don't, not to put you on the spot, but it's perfect timing if you'd like to tell the group a little bit about your topic.
Okay, I'm here. Let me share my video with all the beautiful people in this class. Can you see me? Oh, I look
Yes, I can.
crazy. Hello, everybody. So pretty much my topic is on prison, and prison is such a wide topic, so I'm gonna try and bring it down. So pretty much it's pretty much like African Americans are usually the most, like, it's the most popular group that is put in prison. So it's like most of the rest of the African American community is based off of drugs. It's drug related most likely. And pretty much what my research paper is talking about is that it's pretty much breaking down the prison system and pretty much saying how drugs is a main cause that the African American community is in jail, and how now that is different because before drugs was illegal, but now in certain states it's legal. Like for example, like New York City, marijuana just became legal, and now most of the people that's already in jail is there because of marijuana. So it's pretty much breaking down stuff like that and pretty much saying that how slavery was like one of the biggest cause of how African American people became popular to be in jail. And I've learned a lot, a lot, while doing this paper, because I'm also in a criminal justice class and we talk about things like this. So I learned many things, how when people when they get sent to prison, they get sent there to change their life. It's also a big thing on mental health, because it's like them being in the same spot every single day. So it's very big on mental health as well, and how that the prison system don't really take care of the mental health situation. But yeah, it's a very interesting topic. I can't wait to finish and show you guys the finished product. It's gonna be amazing, I promise.
Thank you, Ifioma. That I know it will be, and I know that you've been working hard on it. It is a complex topic, so thank you for sharing. So now we'll turn it over to one of our next students, Myra. So you can have the floor, Myra.
Can you guys see me? Oh.
Yes, hello.
Good morning. Hi, good morning. My name is Mara Garcia and I'm a criminal justice major, and my topic is sex education requirements in public schools. So a standardized curriculum for sex education should be implemented across all 50 states in the U.S. The education of youth in regard to safe sex is essential for the future health of the nation. Sex education can be a positive thing, but people can't help but feel that it might introduce sex to teens too early. People against a comprehensive sex education emphasize on the fact that abstinence programs are the only way to prevent teens from having sex. These abstinence programs include scare tactics like showing gruesome photos of STDs in hopes that it will scare teens away from sex. You cannot stop teens from having sex, they will still do it, and it's better to know that they are protected than not knowing anything at all. The lack of information is the reason why teen pregnancy is so high in the United States. Places like the Netherlands do not have this problem, because they make sure that their students are informed about the dangers of unprotected sex. In the US, we teach the dangers of sex, but in other places like the Netherlands, they teach the dangers of unprotected sex. This is a distinction between the two systems. The US sees teenagers having sex as a problem, while the Netherlands see also learn that sex education is lacking not just in one state, but many, and that other countries have done a better job at educating their youth. I've also learned that the only solution that can truly help is opening up a discussion and allowing people to converse and discuss why our sex education is failing. Overall, this topic will continue on for a long time until we as a country find the right resources and build enough courage to fix this system. And now I'll pass it to my classmate, Christy.
Good morning,
We
everyone.
can. There you go.
Christy
Hi.
Gonzalez, and Good morning, everyone. My name is Christy Gonzalez, and my topic is serial killer. My thesis statement was serial killers is a very sensitive topic to many around the world, and although we have seen these around for many years, we are still attempting to figure out serial killers and what are their consisting attributes. Throughout the years, we have seen many consistent contributing factors to becoming a serial killer, like childhood trauma. My supporting evidence is a statement by Nicola Davis that states personal trauma can affect someone's behavior, which has allowed me to realize that when the word serial killer comes to mind, people just jump to think what they have done and not what they have been through to make these decisions, which do not justify their actions but can help us prevent from creating more serial killers. And now I'm passing it on to my classmate, Stephanie.
So I know, Stephanie, you just joined in. It's perfect timing since your slide was the next slide. So are you available to tell us a little bit about your topic?
Yes, I'm available. Okay. So my project is about police brutality during the pandemic. My name is Stephanie. I'm a criminal justice major. So my thesis is police
Thank you.
brutality.
How interesting to see the contributing factors, also the key to prevention.
Okay. Thesis. So police brutality has negatively impacted African Americans, especially during this pandemic, COVID-19, causing many sad and terrible deaths. However, it's been taking place in many different ways and places all over the world, leaving people dying left and right and people protesting and asking for justice. My supporting evidence is the amount of violence taking place in the low income areas in New York due to the protests and police violence. At the beginning of COVID-19, protesters came out to protest the killing of George Floyd in Minneapolis, Minnesota on May 25th. Floyd's death touched a lot of Black African Americans, especially in the South Bronx, which has a majority of Blacks and Browns. And I cited Muncie C. 2020, September 30th. Um, Doing this research project, I've learned that racism is something that's really still going on in the world today, even after the rights movements and protesting. During this pandemic, there has been a lot of violence taking place with police officers and colored people. This makes it very hard to trust police officials when their job is to serve and protect. Um, these articles that I've used in my research project have helped me understand more of how officers view us, and it even helped me discover more people who died that I didn't know about.
Great, thank you, Stephanie. And again, everyone, even students in the class, feel free to comment in the chat. So I'm going to turn it over to Nia again, who's going to tell you a little bit about her personal project this semester.
Okay, good morning again. My project was titled Negative Effects of Online Learning to Adolescents, and I had to break it down because it's too wide with all of the grade levels. So I chose kindergarten to second grade. First, a little background on why I chose this topic was because I have younger siblings and I have to balance my online education and help them out a lot to like stay focused and listen to their teacher and do the work and stay on topic and tasks. So I've realized that online school for my younger sister who's 6 and my other younger sister who's 11 is not really like working out. So my thesis was kindergarten to second grade students are not getting the fundamental skills necessary for them to succeed in future grades because of remote learning. It is a constant struggle for these kids to stay focused and obtain the information given by the teacher because it's through a computer, as well as apply these skills learned into their studies and into life. After research, I've learned that students are suffering during online learning. Some factors include lack of engagement, lack of parent help, lack of internet and Wi-Fi, and also financial disadvantages. And next, I'll be passing it over to Oswe.
Can you see me? Okay. So, hi everyone, good morning. My topic is based on global warming, humanity's main problem. And I say that because global warming, if you have not known, has been happening for a long time. It has been almost a century since global warming was first being investigated, and it has been a century that not much has been done to fix this problem. Uh, it has even reached to the point where 2020 was one of the warmest years ever recorded in the planet's history. And this has become such a big problem that it has taken us well over 100 years, and not much has been done. The federal governments in each country have not done enough to propose solutions to this problem, and and this should be a very important topic, even though it has been discussed multiple times, it's still an important topic because it will affect not just one nation, it will affect multiple countries, it will affect multiple people from different backgrounds. It does not matter your financial status, your immigration status, it will affect everyone in a different way. And many countries should be doing should be proposing different types of solutions to, if not fix it, at least to slow it down. But as we have seen, not many countries have been doing that. And if we want this problem to be fixed, someone has to do something about it, even if it's seen as a basic temporary solution. Something should be done. So I'll be passing on to my classmate Chris.
Hello, good morning. My name is Christopher Ordonez, and I'm doing the topic of what does true happiness look like. So many people don't get to experience true happiness in their lifespan, and some others tend to fake the happiness to hide their pain. Some people believe that they need to follow a certain standard or that people can reach happiness without having to fulfill Maslow's hierarchy of needs, David McCullough's acquired needs theory, or any other theory to achieve happiness. And so my supporting evidence was that happiness and fulfillment are within your grasp, but sometimes just out of reach. Understanding what works best for you is the first step in finding them more often, by Goldsmith in 2012. I learned that even with all these theories and ideas of being happy, that they are not required to be used in order to be happy in life. Some people could never follow any of these theories and still be as happy as someone who did follow through with a theory. And now I'll be passing it off to my classmate Naya.
Hi. So for my paper, I wrote about the complicated history regarding aid. Um, I said that the United States should uphold their responsibility to provide aid to other countries. It is their obligation as a result of creating a severe imbalance in the economic status and well-being of multiple nations due to constant wars and feuds throughout history. Um, an ideological battle has been playing out for decades over whether foreign aid should be used to facilitate economic growth or to provide programs that directly meets people needs, basic needs. Carrie Phillips said that in 2013. I've learned that the controversy surrounding foreign aid pertains to more factors whether than just whether foreign aid should be provided or not. People often ask if foreign aid is provided, where would the funds like go towards? Um, Economic support or humanitarian support. The debate also questions whether foreign aid should be provided as a way to make amends from past relationships with receiving countries, or if aid should be given out of personal aid. When I say that, I'm talking about the colonies, the former colonies, when they gained their independence, um, the donor countries kept giving aid to build the economics and not necessarily fix the damage they've done humanitarily. The effectiveness of foreign aid when it comes to relieving debt burdens and encouraging the well-being of its people is also questioned. More oftentimes than not, the justification for foreign aid turns into a moral battle with political figurines. Now I'm going to pass it over to Isabel.
Okay, so my thesis paper is called Day in the Life as a Woman. My thesis statement is that media has a negative impact on how society views women and how women view themselves. Some supporting evidence I have is that with the use of models and false advertisement, society has created this illusion where some females feel like in order to be pretty, they have to be thin and wear certain clothes, which leads to the development of eating disorder and low self-esteem. Also, when you think of someone strong and powerful, you imagine a man, but when you think of someone beautiful and kind, you imagine a woman. The reason for this is society and the way society portrays women. Many society views women as sexual objects, home caregivers, and some believe that all a woman has to offer is their beauty. Something that I have learned by doing this research topic is that women are not given enough credit and have to work twice as hard as men to get what they want, especially in a career. Also, many females hide their true self in order to please society. And I'm gonna pass it on to Shaniqua.
Good morning. My name is Shaniqua. I will be discussing the history of Islam and Christianity. My thesis is the religion of Islam and Christianity have always been despised by many people worldwide, but despising these individuals affect us in more ways than we know. My supporting evidence is overall Muslims in the United States perceive a lot of discrimination against their religion group, are leery of President Donald Trump, and think their fellow Americans do not see Islam as part of mainstream US society. What I've learned from all of this is that racism is still a part of today's society, which I believe to be observed because we've been through so much struggles as a generation, and to be ostracized based on a certain religion one believes is inhumane. Racism is not shown only in the United States, but is shown all over the world. I will pass it on to Professor MacDonald if anyone has any questions.
Well, I want to give my students a big round of applause because that's all of them who are here. They all talked a little bit about their projects. So congratulations, guys! You did an awesome job talking about your topics, and I want to thank our guests who are here. Again, Director McCalla, Lucy who joined in, Professor Butonoff, and Professor Young. So you guys had some great attendance, and I know Professor Young's class is watching this too. So thank you to Professor Young's class for watching these presentations. I did notice that there were some comments and things in the chat from everybody. You know, and I want to thank you guys. Thank our guests for being so inquisitive and so complimentary of the students' topics. Chris, there was a question that was posed to you by Professor McCalla. Does true happiness look the same for everyone? So I don't know if you want to take a minute to open your mic and answer her, or, you know, but does true happiness look the same for everyone?
He did answer in the chat.
Oh, he did? Okay, I didn't see it. Sorry. Oh, there it is. No, it does not. See, the chat was going so much that I couldn't even keep up with it. But, you know, I don't know if anybody else has any questions or comments, but you know what, I said this to my class before we started as kind of like a pep talk, but I want to say it in front of everybody, which is, you know, I think that you guys have really become subject matter experts in your topics through the research that you've done this semester. And I want you to think of it this way. This is only your second full semester of college. You guys are just beginning your journey in terms of college, and your research potential only has the ability to kind of increase, right? So I hope that the course overall has inspired you and given you strategies that will help you do research as you go throughout college. But again, the breadth and variety of your topics has been great, and I'm really looking forward to reading the final drafts of your paper next week, guys. So sure, or they can open their mic. So Professor Butonoff asked if you guys could tell her about anything that surprised you during the research process. So that could be one of the steps that we worked on, or the usefulness of something that maybe you didn't do before, or how you came over a challenge. So anyone want to comment? And again, you can use the chat as well. Joseph, go ahead. Thank you. And then we'll go to Nia.
Hi. For my topic, what I noticed is that I was talking about COVID-19 during impact during the impact of COVID-19 during the impact of the restaurant during COVID-19, right? So what I noticed is that I was reading a couple of graphs that says that during COVID-19, there was like 60% of restaurants still open, and they were like having like selling a lot of food on high rate. So it kind of surprised me because of what was going through, and the restaurant like 60% were open and they were selling at a high rate.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. And I think for you, Joseph, one of the comments that I'll give to you, I think you did a really great job of really embracing the idea of focusing your topic, and kind of settling in on the hospitality industry as a point of focus. So you did a really good job, narrowing your topic this semester. Nia, did you want to comment too?
Yes, I did. I wanted to say how when I did my research, because I put it down to just kindergarten to second grade, I looked at those students all over the world. I didn't just stay in the U.S. So it was really surprising to see that it was not even equivalent. Like it was worse in other places. Like how these kids were, trying to get through online learning, and that was really surprising to me. It was really surprising. Like the struggle for these students.
So you would say that in other parts of the world, there were students that were worse off than the students here in the United States, and kind of your personal experiences.
Yes, like they couldn't. It was hard for them to even like log on to obtain Wi-Fi at all. Like it was really bad.
Yeah, I mean, I think definitely research. So what you're saying, Nia, is it definitely doing research can also give you perspective, right? And change your perspective on things and make you kind of realize something that you didn't always realize. And I agree with Manuel using the databases. And again, we just kind of scratched the surface of using databases. Continue to go back to the databases as you guys do research, because it gets easier to use those tools the more you interact with them. Let's see, what did Myra say? Myra said she surprised herself because she always considered herself a bad writer. No, but slowly realized that she's not. Well, that's good. Doing this research paper helped me advance my writing, and I'm proud I was able to complete a research paper. And that's great, and I think that that's the thing. I mean, I think that we use that term research paper, right? And people look at it kind of with this fear and it's intimidating. But again, if you can kind of break it down, and not every class is going to give you a full semester to work on a research project, right? But again, I hope that you guys take some of these tools and have the confidence in yourselves. Yes, definitely. And Janaea said, what did she say? I'm proud of myself. And now it's almost over. Well, remember, you guys can always register for your next honors class, and then it won't be over. There'll be more research in your next honors class. Well, what I'm going to say is it's been about 45 minutes since we started the session. I'm going to stop the recording here, and